Juwan Howard was completely out of line. What he did was, frankly, reprehensible in representing himself, right, who has earned and want to make sure this is clear. Juwan Howard earned the head coaching job at Michigan through his play, through the fact he had been an assistant coach in the NBA, and his reputation of a guy who you'd want to have lead young men. Earned it. He's earned that reputation. He's doing harm to that reputation based upon how he's behaved as the head coach at Michigan. What he did last year with Mark Turgeon. Earlier this year, there was an incident with his own team shaking hands at Rutgers. And look, I understand. No one understands better than me about people yelling things at you and the immediate and visceral reaction you want to have. No one understands more than me. Look, I've lost a game at Rutgers when Rutgers wasn't any good. I know what that handshake line is like. The first game in Big East history for Notre Dame and Rutgers, I was a starting point guard. We lost a 14-point lead. I airballed a free throw. I remember I can tell you every play that happened in the game. We lost in overtime. I remember that handshake line. I remember you're in Jersey and dudes are yelling awful stuff at you. This is before I did anything wrong. But how you handle it. So by now I think if you're a sports fan of any repute, you know what went down on Sunday. You've seen the video. And we act like Greg Gard stepped to him and pushed him with two hands. It was like, what, do you want, some punk? Right? Or he grabbed him like he's a little kid. Like, he did the shake hands, grab your elbow to actually be more personable, to let me explain. And Juwan Howard not only overreacted by pushing his hands away, but then put a finger in his chest. And even then, Greg Gard wasn't brought to, like, let's go to, first of all, he's not an idiot. He's not going to fight Juwan Howard, who would, 6'9", 6'10", big, strong man. Like, that would not have likely ended well. Right? Unless Greg Gard does Brazilian jiu-jitsu that I'm not aware of. But the crazy part, okay? The crazy part is that we excuse this behavior. Excuse it. In handshake lines. Like, that's the time when the coach has to show the most class. And I somehow this has become a discussion whether or not we should have handshake lines. I thought Tom Izzo said it best. Take a listen. This is from yesterday.
Me would be the biggest farce, joke, ridiculous nature of anything I've ever heard of. We've already taught these poor 18-year-olds that when you're told to go to class and you don't like it, you can leave. We've already told these kids if you're not happy, you can do something else. We've already told these kids that it's hard to hold them accountable, and now we're going to tell them to not man up and walk down a line on someone who's kicked your butt and have enough class to shake their hand is utterly ridiculous. So if the president said it, I think he's full of it. If the best coach in America said it, I think that gets me way more than this incident.
I agree. I understand there can be bad behavior in handshake lines. That one out of every 250 games, you can have somebody act out of line. That doesn't mean you stop having the handshake lines. That means you improve those ratios. I don't know how any of this would be excusable behavior. I actually think the good thing that came from it was that he wasn't fired. Now, I do believe other coaches, even quality coaches, successful coaches, would have been fired. I mean, throwing a punch at an assistant coach from the other team on national TV when you're the head coach at Michigan, like these are fireable things. And then not taking ownership of it in the postgame press conference. But just like he can teach his team and coach his team, we can all coach through how he's handled and coach ourselves. In that the immediate reaction of fire the guy who makes the mistake is not really in the spirit of what you're trying to accomplish.